Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're talking about solving proportions using mental math. I'm going to kind of go against the title. I'm going to show you both ways, the mental math and how it actually works out, because I want you practicing as soon as possible, or at least having the opportunity to practice as soon as possible. The way we really solve this. So we're going to be going over very simple ones now, and then later when it changes from simple, there's a process. I'm not a fan of teaching you simple, do it one way, and then, hey, now it's more complicated, do it another. I'd rather you do it the same way all the way through so you get the practice and know how it works. So when it gets harder, you know what to do. Now, the mental math process, I'm just going to write mental here, and that's going to be everything in this column. Mental says I'm going to take one fraction that's equal to another, but missing a value. In other words, I'm missing a numerator or a denominator in one of my two fractions that's set equal to each other. Here it is, that guy's missing. So what we have here is we're trying to find out what is the same as 3/2 when I'm talking about eighths. So if I have 3 apples for every 2 oranges, and I know I'm selling 8 oranges, how many apples should I have to sell? Now, what I'm looking at here is the numbers that I know. How do I go through multiplication or division? I'll put division down here, and you'll see why here in a second. To multiply, how do I go from 2 to 8? Or divide, how do I go from 8 to 2? So to multiply means I have to go by 4s. And to divide, to go from 8 to 2, I need to divide by 4. Either way, I'm using a 4. What I need to figure out is how to use that here. Well, I'm going from left to right, so to go from left to right, I need to multiply in the denominator. So that means I need to do the same thing. I need to multiply in the numerator. You can also think of it like this. It wouldn't make sense to try and divide x by 4 to get 3. Takes more work. So what I'm doing is I'm essentially saying, hey, 2 times 4 equaled 8. So 3 times 4 equals what? And what we end up finding out is 3 times 4 equals 12. Therefore, x must equal 12. And if we plug that back in, we get 12 over 8. And if we divide by 4 in each of these, we do get 3/2. So we are able to simplify one to the other, and therefore I have a correct answer. Now there's two things that we kind of did here, and there are at least two ways to see it. So I'll write another bar here, so we're basically doing the same thing. Really what we're able to do here to be able to find an answer, and this is a process that we're going to be able to use for really the rest of the time we're in class, the rest of this year. And I don't mean calendar year. So what we're able to do is either we can cross multiply and then solve. So this is cross multiply then solve. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is anytime we form an x, in other words, if we go from denominator to numerator or numerator to denominator, we're multiplying. So this is the same as 2x. And over here, I do the same thing, and I get 8 times 3 is 24. Again, anytime you go in a diagonal, or you're able to circle in a diagonal, it means you are multiplying. So in reality, what I'm saying is 24 equals 2x. And now we get to use what we've been using before to be able to solve equations. If I solve for x, 2 times x, well, I could think about it mentally, but we have a process we're practicing. So that since I'm multiplying, I need to divide out my groups to figure out how many x's there are. Well, there's 2 groups, so I need to divide it into 2 groups. which means I have to divide this into two groups, because what I do to one side, I do to the other. Well, 24 divided by 2 is 12, and that's going to equal my x. Now, a shortcut to this is to remember that when I go in diagonals, I multiply. And then I have to think of something else. So give me a second. What I'm doing here is a shortcut to this process. So this is the shortcut to this. In other words, I call it the calculator method. Okay, so I'm going to get out my calculator and I'm going to be able to show you. Trying not to cover up this side, and actually I'll try to keep it over here. What I'm trying to do is figure out how can I do this without using a piece of paper. What I'm going to be able to do is, since this is at a diagonal, it means I'm going to multiply, and then because I'm going down or I'm going up in some cases, we'll go over those instances later, that means I'm going to divide just like my fraction bar tells me to do. So in reality, what I'm looking at is 8 times 3 is 24, and I'm sorry if the pins are clicking, I have new pins I'm trying out. So here I get 8 times 3 is 24, because I'm going in a diagonal, I multiply. Then I take that answer and I divide it by the 2 I already have, so 24 divided by 2 is 12. And 12 is what I was looking for, because that equals my x. Notice how we got x equals 12 in all of our answers. All of them are different ways to be able to do it. Now, like I said, I call this the calculator method because we never have to write anything down using this method. We just have to remember, I'm looking for numbers. Whenever there's a variable, I find the diagonal first. That's not the variable, so that's 8 and 3, and I just multiply them. 3 times 8. I hit equal. I got 24. Then I divide by whatever is left. Divide by 2. I got my 12. Okay, so we have a shortcut method that was just the calculator. We have the cross multiply then solve. This is the true method of mathematics. This is what's actually happening in the background. And then we have the mental math. I had to multiply 2 by what to get 8, or divide 8 by what to get 2. And we do that same operation by the same number to the 3, whichever one's missing, okay? If you have any questions, make sure you email those to me. Have a great night and stay safe out there, guys.